All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show with a little 49er video. And let's talk a little bit about the 49ers and the Patriots. And of course, it's week 4 in the NFL, and this is a gotta have it game for the 49ers. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville, they're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Go say hi to Damon, go say hi to Mary, get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. And this video also brought to you by Sharp Corners, Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Call my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Niners and the Patriots. This is going to be an interesting football game. I think there's a number of interesting things about this game. Both teams are 1-2. Both teams haven't won since week 1. New England's an interesting team. They're one of only 3 teams that has more rushing yards than passing yards. So you got to stop their run game. And that's really where it starts. You got to stop their run game. If you can't stop their run game, it's going to be a long, long day for the 49ers. So, they've got a big physical running back. And if you look at the Patriots, I mean, Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, and you don't think much of Jacoby Brissett, but you know what? Jacoby Brissett is a very smart running quarterback. And there are far more faster quarterbacks in the league than Jacoby Brissett, but he knows when to run and he knows where to run. And if you give him a rush lane, he's going to take off and go, and he knows when to run. So like if what they're going to do is they're going to come out and they're going to run the ball with Ramondre Stevenson, and they're going to throw the ball short to Antonio Gibson and Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper. And they love, throwing these little rub routes to KJ Osborne. Their vertical threat is Demario Douglas, the man they call Pop Douglas, who's about 5'8", 175, 6th-round pick last year. But he's got 4.4 speed and he can get deep. So what they're going to do is they're going to come out and they're going to run Stevenson, and they're going to run a bunch of short routes and get the ball out of Brissett's hands. He's going to run every chance he gets, every open lane he gets, he's going to run. They're going to try to force the 49ers to play man-to-man coverage. And then Brissett's really going to take off and run. When the Niners defenders turn their head in man-to-man coverage on Brissett, he's going to take off and run. He looks for the tight ends. Henry's a little bit dinged up, so that's why you're seeing Hooper, who went to De La Salle. He's a Bay Area kid. But the thing starts and ends with Ramondre Stevenson. You have to be able to tackle Ramondre Stevenson. And he's a big back. You're talking about 6 feet, 230. And he'll run through arm tackles. He's a very, very powerful runner. They're also going to throw it out of the backfield to Antonio Gibson. Gibson's also about 6 feet, about 230. So they got 2 bigger backs. Gibson's the receiver. Stevenson is the rusher. The offensive line is not great. It's not a great line. In fact, they're banged up on the left side of the offensive line. Caden Wallace is starting at left tackle. He played guard at Penn State and some right tackle. He's now playing left tackle. So Leonard Floyd and Nick Bosa have to get going against Caden Wallace if they're matched up on the Patriots, like 3rd string left tackle, and he's a rookie at that. So that's, if you're going to stop New England, you have to stop Ramondre Stevenson. You have to stop the run game. Now, their big, most powerful run blocking offensive lineman is the rookie Layden Robinson, who played at Texas A&M. He's number 64. He's a 4th-round pick, and he is just a pancake monster. So they want to run behind him. And in short yardage, they'll run behind Layden Robinson and David Andrews in the middle of the line. But on the right, Robinson plays the right guard spot. Their one scary receiver is Demario Douglas. He's got 4.4 speed, and he's got great courage. He's really, really little. He's easy to lose track of out there. They've got other guys that aren't bad. I mean, Javon Baker, the rookie from Central Florida, Jalen Polk, the rookie from UW, Osborne, who's in Minnesota last year. I mean, they're decent receivers, don't get me wrong. But the difference maker, the guy who can take it to the house, the guy who can make a big play, is Demario Douglas. So You got to stop. You know that the 49ers have given up verticals the last 2 weeks. So you know that when Van Pelt, their offensive coordinator, looks at the film, he's going to see that, and they're going up top. So they're probably going up top to either Tyquan Thornton, who's got the best 40 time, or possibly Demario Douglas. But they are going up top. They're going to take shots down the field because the Niners showed a weakness there. Now on defense, this is where, I think this is going to be interesting. Brock Purdy is playing really, really well, despite a ton of adversity. He just threw for 292 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Rams. And that's with CMC, the offensive player of the year, out. No Debo, no Kittle. Ayuk, a shadow of what he was last year, just a shell of what he used to be at this point. We'll see. We'll see what he looks like. He has no touchdowns and doesn't look very good. Has yet to eclipse the 40-yard plateau this year, by the way. But Brock's been pressured at the 8th highest rate in the NFL. And a lot of those pressures are coming on his front side tackle. Colton McKivitz is giving up the biggest number of pressures. So they're going to have to help McKivitz. Now, you may see the 49ers go to Spencer Burford at right tackle, maybe Jalen Moore. They may not stay with McKivitz if McKivitz continues to be a turnstile. But Brock's playing well despite the fact he's being pressured at the 8th highest rate in the league. He's got the 2nd most passing yards. He's 2nd in yards per attempt. He's 1st in completion percentage over expectation. He's 4th in EPA per dropback. He had a lot of time to throw it against the Rams this week. The Rams at times rushed 2 and 3. Brock had 3.39 seconds on average to throw the ball in week 3. That was the highest. That was the most time of any quarterback in the league. And against Minnesota, he also had time. He had 3 minutes or 3.0 seconds, I should say. 3 minutes would be a long time. 3.0 seconds against Minnesota. So he's had time the last couple of weeks. And through 3 weeks, Brock Purdy has the 2nd highest average time to throw, trailing only Jalen Hurts. So Purdy's playing well. I mean, there's no question about that. And, it's amazing, really, when you think of the 49ers. They're led right now by Brock Purdy, who's a 7th-round pick, Jawan Jennings, 7th-round pick, and Jordan Mason, who wasn't even drafted. Now, the Niners did get some injury news this week. It sounds like Trent Williams is going to go with the toe injury. D. Winters sounds like he may go. He practiced on Friday with the ankle. Debo returned to practice. It sounds like he's going to go. He's got the calf injury. George Kittle's got the hamstring, but he practiced this week. It sounds like he's ready to play. Jacob Cowing was ill this week. I know he wants to get in there. Sadly, the 49ers lost Curtis Robinson for the year. So Curtis Robinson was carted off. He hurt his knee in practice. He's done for the year. So, and Javon Hargrave's done for the year with the triceps. So I thought T.Y. McGill was going to get the call up, but it went to Evan Anderson. So Evan Anderson, the big rookie defensive lineman, defensive tackle from Florida Atlantic University, he's going to be up. At least there's a chance that he'll be up on game day for the first time in his career. Also, Jordan Elliott's got a foot injury, an ankle injury, I should say, but it's not expected to be serious. And I'm eager to see if he's active or inactive on game day. I think that's one of the things to look for as well. Is Jordan Elliott active? Now, the Niners defense has been bad. And by the way, Spencer Burford's been working at offensive tackle in practice this week. The Niners only have, between Williams, McKivitz, and Jalen Moore, 3 offensive tackles on their roster. Burford did play right tackle his junior year at Texas San Antonio. He played left tackle his senior year, so he does have experience at tackle. To me, the big question for the 49ers in this game really is on special teams and on defense. I think, you look at the 49ers on special teams, they've been a disaster on special teams. I mean, there's just no way else to say it. And New England is a good special teams unit. Marcus Jones is a very dangerous return guy. So you got to make sure you don't give up a big return to Marcus Jones. Brendan Schooler is a kamikaze guy on their coverage units, number 41. He makes all the tackles. So, I mean, you really got to make sure that Jones doesn't bust one on you, and you got to make sure that Schooler doesn't just blow up all of your returns. So that's, I think, one of the keys in the game. But the big key for the 49ers is on defense. The 49ers defensively have been bad. I mean, this is a defense that's supposed to be the strength of the team. They're 21st in points per game allowed. They've given up 23 points a game. They're 25th in defensive efficiency. They're 24th in defensive EPA. They're 21st in yards per rush allowed, giving up over 4.5 yards a carry. They've given up 6.1 yards per play. That's 30th in the NFL. They're really, really bad on third downs. They can't get off the field on third downs. Their opponent's third down conversion rate is 53%, 52.9. That's 30th in the NFL. So they got to get better at getting off the field. And their success rate versus the run is 51.6. That's 28th in the NFL. So it's like this defense, which used to be a major strength for the 49ers, is not been a strength. And we don't know about Talanoa Hufanga. Jalen Mahoney was activated because Hufanga's got an injury, and there's a chance that he won't be able to go. And, this Patriots team, as I said, Douglas has got 4.4 speed. He's got 39-inch vertical. He does have a history of muff punts, by the way. He had 6 in college. So look for the 49ers to try to punch the ball out. And Patriots won't have Kendrick Bourne. He's on the PUP list. So it's going to be a lot of Demario Douglas, a lot of Antonio Gibson, and a lot of the gigantic running back. Also the 2 rookie receivers, Javon Baker and Jalen Polk. You're going to see them quite a bit, but it's going to be the Ramondre Stevenson show. And if they can't stop Stevenson, it's going to be a long, long day. Now, as far as the 49ers on offense, they got to block Keon White. The Patriots run a 3-4 front. Keon White's their second-year defensive end out of Georgia Tech. This guy was just okay as a rookie. As a rookie, he had 26 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 20 pressures. But this year, he has busted out. And he had 4 hits on Rodgers last week. He had 4 tackles. Through 3 weeks, Keon White has 17 tackles. 10 of them are solo, 3 TFLs, 4 sacks, and 12 pressures. In fact, he's the 4th best pass rusher in the NFL, according to PFF, behind Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and Aiden Hutchinson. So you got to block Keon White, and he's just an absolute beast. He's a 6'5", 285-pound guy who plays a 5 technique in their 34 front, but he can bend the edge like an edge rusher. I mean, this guy moves like a 4-3 defensive end, and he's 6'5", 285. I mean, I haven't seen a guy move at 285 pounds like this guy since Bruce Smith. And this guy looks amazing. He is dominating. The Niners do catch a break in that Christian Barmore, who's a really good young defensive tackle. He's not going to play. He's been out. He's battling blood clots. They also got a huge break in that Jawan Bentley, who's their leading tackler, tore his pec, and he was put on season-ending IR, so Bentley's not in there. Raekwon McMillan and Jelani Tavai are their inside linebackers, and they're both excellent against the run, but neither of them are the tackle machine that Jawan Bentley is. The strength of New England's defense is clearly the secondary, led by their safeties Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers. Peppers is wearing the Guardian cap, and he's a big, big hitter. Then at corner, they have Jonathan Jones. They got the ex-Oregon Duck, Christian Gonzalez, who was their first-round pick last year. And then their nickelback is Marcus Jones, who also, as I mentioned before, is an elite return guy. The one thing is, I think if you're the 49ers, you have to run the ball at the Patriots. And that's what New England, or that's what Cincinnati did in week 1. And last week, the Jets took it to them, and New England missed 14 tackles against the Jets. So this game plan has got to be a ton of J.P. Mason. I think the real key is you got to stop Ramondre Stevenson, but the other real key is Jacoby Brissett. If you turn your head in man-to-man, he will take off and run. He's not the greatest runner, but he knows when to run. So that's a big one. That is an absolute big one. He knows when to run, and even though he's not a burner per se, he's a since he knows when he wants to run, he's a very difficult guy to defend. If you give him a rush lane, he's going to take it. He's going to take off. So, it's the 49ers found out this week. They're probably, CMC is going to be out probably until week 12 or week 13. So they need some dynamic plays. Now, one of the interesting things that I thought I heard this week was when we asked Chris Forster about Isaac Guerrero, he kind of came out of nowhere and was like, Isaac Guerrero looks awesome right now. And we'd really like to get him out in space. So I would expect that you're going to see Guerrero in space in this game in open spaces. And they understand that, Christian gave them big playability, and they don't have a lot of that big playability without Christian. So, the key is going to be, can the Niners stop New England's run? The one thing about the Patriots is the Patriots don't turn it over. Their offense has only turned it over on 3.3% of their offensive drives. That's third best in the NFL. They had their first turnover last week against the Jets. Their offense has scored only 39 points in 3 games, which is second fewest in the NFL. But if you look at, the New England, they want to dominate the time of possession. They won the time of possession against Cincinnati, and they beat them in week 1. They won the time of possession against Seattle, and they lost in overtime. So they want to run the ball. There's no question. They run the ball at the 8th highest rate in the league. They're only 18th in rushing success rate. So they're not one of the best rushing teams, but they will commit to it. Against the Niner, the Niners offense, I should say, Niners defense is 25th in rushing success rate. So, and they're 28th in rushing EPA allowed. So, that is going to be the real ball game right there. It's like, can the Niners stop the run of New England? If they can, then they can force Brissett to pass. He doesn't have lots of weapons. He's not a great downfield passer. And they might be able to get some turnovers. Bosa and Floyd should be able to pressure the quarterback and get by these tackles. And it could be a gigantic, victory for the Niners. They're big 10-point favorites, 10.5-point favorites. The Niners have stacked the box only 18% of the time. So they don't usually put an extra guy in the box. And if they do, and they have to play man-to-man, then you look for Pop Douglas to get open down the field, look for New England to try some verticals, and look for, Jacoby Brissett to turn and run when the Niners turn their back in man coverage. The guy that I'm really worried about in this game is Devondre Campbell. He's been targeted 16 times, and he's given up 14 receptions for 149 yards and a touchdown. Last week, he just got totally burned. Kyron Williams beat him on a route out of the backfield for a 15-yard touchdown, and then Stafford threw a ball to Colby Parkinson to set up the game-winning field goal, and Campbell had a blatant and terrible PI on Parkinson. He doesn't play with poise on the ball in the air. He doesn't stay anywhere near to the receiver. To me, New England's tight ends against the Niner linebackers could be advantage Patriots. As I said, New England likes to run the ball, but they don't get a lot of push in the run game. They're 30th in the NFL in yards before contact at 0.55. So, they don't get a ton of push in the run game, but they will run it, and they will commit to running it. So, there's that to deal with. If you're the 49ers, one of the things you got to think about in this game is punch the ball out. Stevenson has 3 fumbles in the first 3 games. Now, New England only has a 3.3% turnover percentage, which is really low. They rarely turn it over. But Stevenson has shown in the last 3 weeks that he will turn it over. Jacoby Brissett, to me, this game is won and lost by the Niner defensive front against New England's offensive line. Brissett's been pressured on 46.4% of his dropbacks. That's the highest percentage in the NFL. He's been sacked on only 11.5% of his dropbacks, which is the 4th highest rate. 6 of his 9 sacks came when he wasn't blitzed. So if you blitz him, sometimes you're giving him a defined read and you're bailing him out. The Niners don't blitz. They've only blitzed 14.1% of the dropbacks in the first 3 games of the season. That's the lowest blitz rate of the Shanahan era. But the question is, coming into this game, is without Hargrave, will Sorensen have to dial up the blitzes? The Niners have 8 sacks in 3 games, which is right about the league average. Bosa leads them with 12 pressures. Hargrave, who's out for the year, is second with 8. Malik Collins and Leonard Floyd have 11 combined. That's where this game's going to be won or lost. Nick Bosa's got to beat Caden Wallace. Leonard Floyd's got to beat Caden Wallace. The Niner D-line's got to win. The Niners defensive line is 26th in the NFL in pressure rate. That's not good enough. They've gone up against, some bad lines. The interior of Minnesota's line was not good, and yet the Niners couldn't capitalize. The Rams line was not good, and yet for the most part, the Niners couldn't capitalize, though Shanahan said he felt like last week's defensive line effort was the best of the 3 games so far. Well, this is a huge one right here. It's a huge day for Nick Sorensen. The Niners have a lot of strengths. You got Nick Bosa, who was the 2022 NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and yet they're 12th in the league in defense. And the only, you look at this equation, if the 49ers can't stop this very limited New England team that's averaging 13 points a game, the heat is going to be dialed up on Nick Sorensen. Now, Sorensen, love him, hate him, whatever. I don't know that I'm all that impressed 3 games in. As far as, is he an upgrade on Steve Wilks? He doesn't appear to be an upgrade on Steve Wilks. The 49er defense almost is without strength. They're getting beat down the field in verticals. They're not putting a lot of heat on the quarterback. They've lacked a ferociousness that seems to have departed with Dre Greenlaw. Isaac Yiadom and Devondre Campbell are getting picked on, and yet doesn't seem like Nick's close to taking them off the field. I want to see Winters, not Campbell. I want to see Renardo Green, not Isaac Yiadom. And I want to see this 49er team defensively play with the kind of ferocity that they always played with the last 4 or 5 years. They don't look that scary right now. They don't look that dangerous. And if Ramondre Stevenson rumbles up and down the field and the 49ers blow up again on special teams, they're like 1 turnover away from losing this game to the Patriots. The 49ers should come out. They should commit to the run with Jordan Mason. They should be able to take it to the Patriots. They should be able to keep the Patriots under 14, and the 49ers should be able to score 24 or more and win this comfortably. But my guess is that a lot of those things that should happen aren't going to happen, and I think this is a close game. I think this is a 49er win, but I think this is a 27-24 49er win. They're just too bad on special teams. There's too many deficiencies on defense. Ayuk doesn't look like Ayuk. Shanahan looks uncomfortable as a play caller without CMC. They're down weapons. McKivitz has regressed. The special teams has been awful. They just lost Hargrave. They're probably going to have to blitz a little bit more. I don't know if they can stand up on the back end. It's a very young secondary. Doesn't have a lot of speed. There's holes on all 3 levels of the Niner defense. I'll take the Patriots and the points to keep it close, but I'll say 27-24 49ers get the win. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to the Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.